me ask you something here, because we're here trying to get into extreme ownership today. And something that I notice with our oldest with ADHD is she has a hard time with ownership. Um, I'm thinking back to this Disneyland trip here, and whenever I was trying to point out, Naomi's behavior in this situation and how maybe she was affecting her friend, she would displace that responsibility onto the other girls that were here. Well, this girl is taking her attention. Well, this girl wants to sit in front of her lunch. If they weren't here, then I would be able to, or, it was kind of like that. And you just gave this beautiful story about Cohen and how he kind of came to his own conclusion of that ownership and took responsibility for that part in it. And do you see that he's able to do that easily, or is that something that you struggle with in your parenting with him? I'm wondering if this is an ADHD problem, or is it if it's just a me problem?
I think the way we talked about it all the way up to this point in this episode so far is that it requires time, space, grace, all that stuff that we tend to not, I guess, believe or experience in the moment when it's all happening all at once. And I mentioned the word escalation previously. Escalation is something that kids, struggle with. It's very obvious when they're in a power dynamic struggle, the volume control is just out the window. There is no way of keeping those kids, at a reasonable volume. Just walk into a grocery store where kids are in the cereal aisle, right? It's going to happen. What works for me best again is not that I'm expecting Cohen to have it all just in line and figured out based on previous experience when he's in the middle of a state of escalation. It's coming back to that later. And, and being able to show the grace, just acknowledging, yeah, it didn't go well. There were some mistakes you made, but that's not where the conversation ends. It's okay. Everybody does have a state of calm in them, even when they're ADHD and they're energized most of the day, perhaps. There's still a chance to reflect. We had an incredibly successful last couple of weeks, which I even noted with his mom, that I've seen a level of maturity in him that I haven't seen up to this point in his life. He was able to articulate his place and where he was. And I'll share the story briefly. He was in the zone in his mind doing some sort of play pretend, and he was running up behind me. A friend was with him, and he kept running up where my one older dog is running, kind of walking behind me, because he just tends to take up the rear. But I could feel the slack in the leash every single time Cohen ran up on him. The dog was anxious and, shuffling his feet around, trying to dodge my kiddo, who was, scaring him a little bit. And I had to remind him many times, please don't scare the dogs. And he kept doing it. Finally, I just said, stop scaring the dog. And my voice was elevated. And he looks me directly in the eye, screams at me, and then runs into the snow, dives headfirst into the snowbank, and then goes, "You pushed me." So he was doing the power dynamic there, and it was escalated. I escalated it. Obviously, I lost my cool. It didn't go well. It took us a while to calm down, and I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt at first. At first, I said, "I told you many times. You heard me say, stop scaring the dogs." And he said, "No, I didn't. I really didn't. I was doing this." He was telling me about how he was running within and around the lines of the sidewalk, slabs. He was literally focused in his world of what he wanted to do. And he was owning up to that part of it, saying, I was just being myself, playing. I was focused there. I didn't hear that. And I as a person who doesn't have a full understanding of his mind and his almost 7-year-old brain, ADHD or not, I was just taking my situation and applying it directly to his, which wasn't fair to him. And I need to be more mindful just in general, because he showed me, hey, truth is, you missed the mark on what you saw. And I'm telling you what it is. And I have to build trust with him. How do I build trust with him? I listen to the words he has to say. If he's struggling in a moment, why is it that he's struggling? What feelings is he feeling? Those feelings are real. his thoughts that I pushed him into the snowbank? No, that's not true. I didn't push him at all, but still, he was feeling scared. He was feeling sad or hurt. And he thought that he was doing this. And because I told him otherwise, he was hurt by that. But we got to circle around to it. I wish it wouldn't have gotten to the point of escalation, but sometimes escalation does bring us to a quicker resolve because we have to face the problem head on. And so I gave him grace. He gave me grace. He spoke to exactly what he was doing, and I believed him. It was an absolute amazing success, and I wouldn't change anything, even though, yeah, it sucks to have to raise your voice to your kiddo.